You're listening to the Overcome Your Limits radio show, hosted by top motivational speaker Christopher E. Powell. We'll be bringing you thought-provoking interviews, information, and inspiration from people from all walks of life, including business, finance, education, and ordinary individuals who have conquered tremendous odds to achieve great success. Tune in regularly to get the insight, inspiration, and motivation you need to dramatically improve your life and make a difference in the lives of others. Now, here's your host, Chris Powell.
Welcome to the Overcoming Limits radio show. I'm Chris Powell, and thank you once again for joining us today for another edition of the Overcome Your Limits radio show broadcast. Please join our conversation on Facebook at facebook.com/overcomeyourlimits and also on Twitter at twitter.com/overcomeyourlimits. You also can leave your comment on our overcomeyourlimits.com website. On today's show, we will be speaking with cancer survivor Eva Grayzel. Eva Grayzel, an internationally recognized master storyteller and performance artist, was diagnosed at age 33 with stage 4 oral cancer and given a 15% chance of survival. After regaining her deep, vibrant voice, Eva applied her stage skills to communicate the depth of her experience in a unique and powerful way. For over a decade, Eva has empowered survivors nationwide with a story of turning adversity into opportunity. Recently, Eva's program, Tongue-Tied, a story not silenced by oral cancer, was featured off-Broadway in New York City. A champion for early detection, Eva founded the 6-step screening oral cancer awareness campaign, for which she was recognized by the American Academy of Oral Medicine. To celebrate her 10-year cancer-free anniversary, Eva wrote 2 children's books, Mr. C Plays Hide and Seek and Mr. C the Globetrotter, in the Talk for Hope family book series. Eva's signature stories are recorded on the CD, A Story a Day. Would you please welcome to the Overcoming Limits radio show, Eva Grayzel. Hello, Eva, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris.
Your story is one of inspiration. You had to really endure quite a situation that a lot of people would really have a lot of fear, but your strength really was such a inspiration. So I know there are listeners that are going to be very excited about what you have to say. You are a storyteller. Where and how did you find this passion?
Well, I pursued a career as an actress after graduating college, thinking if I'm ever going to be a star on Broadway, I should do it then. And while I was pursuing this career, I got a job teaching in an after-school program. It was a religious school, and I was doing Bible stories. And that's where my career as a storyteller began. It all began one day when my principal came into my room furious. She said to me, "Didn't you hear the bell ring?" And I apologized. I did not hear the bell ring. And I said to the students, "Did you guys hear the bell ring?" And they all said, "Yes, but wait, what happens?" And the principal dropped her jaw because most students don't want to spend an extra minute of time in these after-school programs. And yet my students wanted to hear the rest of the story. So the following week she came into my classroom, and after she watched the way I engaged the children in the story by having them spontaneously play the parts of the characters in the story. For example, Moses said to Pharaoh, "Let my people go." So the kid who's playing Moses would say, yo, man, let my people go or I'm going to cause you some trouble. And my principal watched what was the magical phenomenon happening in the classroom, and she told me afterwards that I could make a business out of this. And I said, out of what? And she said, the way you tell stories. She did a recommendation letter to her colleagues, and I did a little flyer of the kinds of programs I could offer. And I started booking shows all over the country, actually. And I was at the top of my game doing educational conferences and interactive storytelling performances and educator workshops all over. And 15 years into doing this, I was diagnosed with stage 4 tongue cancer. Very ironic for a storyteller.
Yeah, because I can imagine how, as a storyteller, you would, speak and have dramatic stories. And now all of a sudden, you get this news that you have stage 4, and you were given like a 15% chance to make it.
Correct. Classic misdiagnosis. I mean, I complained about the sore in my tongue, and my doctors kept telling me, my teeth are sharp, and I'm biting it, I'm gnawing on it at night, I'm irritating it. They were basing this treatment plan on me because my biopsy was negative, but unfortunately for me, the biopsy was misread. And the fact of the matter is that if you're a non-smoker, anything in your mouth that doesn't heal should have a high index of suspicion. And they should have known this, but instead they treated me for trauma for 9 months as the tumor was developing, and eventually the tumor was sitting on a nerve to my ear, and I got these excruciating earaches. And I went to my general doctor because, and my doctor gave me antibiotics for water on my eardrum. And I finally went back to the oral surgeons demanding answers because the pain in my tongue and ear would not subside. And that's when they said, well, I guess we should do another biopsy. And I thought to myself, are you guessing? I mean, I can barely function. I'm not eating normally. It's affecting my speech. And you're guessing about what to do with that. When he said I guessed the next step, that was it for me. I was driving home, and for the first time in 9 months, I thought maybe I should look elsewhere for answers. I trusted my doctors, and I can't tell you why it took me so long to think about going elsewhere for some answers, getting second opinions. I actually got a second opinion from another surgeon within the same practice, but he basically confirmed what the first surgeon said. And then eventually I called a family friend from New York City who was a plastic surgeon, and he specialized in cleft palate. So I thought maybe he would know what's going on in my mouth. And this guy said, have you been to a major medical center? And I thought to myself, no. It didn't even occur to me. I had no idea, not even an inkling that what I was dealing with was remotely serious. I mean, I thought it could have been a fungal infection. I just had no idea. Anyway, I went to see a microvascular chief of head and neck oncology at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York. And that doctor looked at me and he said, who are you here with? I took the bus into Manhattan from Pennsylvania that day. I had no idea that I was dealing with something that could have even been remotely serious. And I called up my mom, who lived in New Jersey, and she was sitting by my side when the doctor came up to me after a biopsy. And he said to me, Eva, you are in an advanced stage of oral cancer. I never heard the words. Oral cancer was beyond my scope of understanding. We all know if we feel a lump in our breast, what we need to do. If we have blood in our urine, if we have a spot on our skin that looks irregular, irregular borders, or discolored, we all know what to do. But nobody ever educated me about what to do when I had a persistent sore in my mouth. And now it is my mission and in life to educate the general public so that what happened to me doesn't happen to others. So I started an organization called 6-Step Screening, and I work very hard every day to help dental professionals educate their patients about the early signs and symptoms of oral cancer and what an oral cancer screening is when they go to the dentist for a dental checkup, and to be sure that dental professionals are using the words oral cancer to raise awareness and educate patients, because I truly believe the best value of the service a dental professional can provide is education.
That is quite a story, because you had this pain in your mouth and you don't know exactly what it is. So I know mentally you must have been going through a lot of questions in your mind. Thank goodness that you continued to press on, and eventually you found a solution that would give you a lot of help in your recovery. So we're very grateful for that. So I think one thing we can take away is, if you have a problem on your mouth, go check it out. Go see a dentist, go see an oral surgeon, and keep being persistent until you can find what exactly is going on.
That's correct. So for your listeners, it's really important for you to know that not only is a persistent sore in the mouth suspicious, but anywhere on your body. If you've got an open wound or sore anywhere on your body that isn't healing in 2 weeks, it needs to be checked. But the other early signs and symptoms of oral cancer are a persistent sore throat, chronic hoarseness, anything one-sided. If you feel like a sore throat on one side but not the other side, that is a symptom. If you have any difficulty swallowing, or you're clearing your throat a lot more than normal, like or you feel something caught back there, those are all signs that you need to not see an oral surgeon, but an ENT, an ear, nose, and throat specialist. Anything at the back of the throat beyond the purview of a dentist should be with an ENT doctor, and they should scope you. You know, isn't it interesting, Chris, that at age 50 they say we should all be scoped from down below with a colonoscopy, and yet being scoped from up above is not something that's recommended. And I believe one day that scope will be recommended as well.
Great thought, and something for all of us to think about and really be aware of, because it's very important for us to have good oral hygiene. And
they say that the health of the mouth is the window to the health of the entire body. You can actually determine heart disease and other diseases right from the mouth, and neck from the lymph nodes and so on. In fact, if you cut your gums with a very sharp toothbrush, or you brush too hard, you can actually introduce an infection right into your bloodstream. So it's really important to know your mouth. Do self-exams, just like you know your skin, just like we're supposed to feel our breasts once a month. You should know your mouth. And anything that's abnormal, discolored, raised, granulated, anything that's abnormal, you should watch for a couple weeks, and if it does not go away, it should be examined by a professional.
we thank you for your information. I mean, this is priceless.
If your listeners have questions about what an oral cancer screening is, they can go to 6stepscreening.org. That's SIX, which stands for 6 Steps to a Thorough Oral Cancer Screening. And it's ouralscreening.org. And on there you could see a video of what an oral cancer screening looks like. We help dental professionals educate patients with posters and cards to put in the patient goodie bag, all kinds of things to raise awareness and save lives.
Saving lives and creating healthier lives so we can enjoy life. And life
That's right.
enjoy its fullest.
There's a new association with the human papillomavirus, HPV, and the oral pharyngeal cancers, which are the cancers at the tonsils and the back of the tongue, the way back. And HPV loves tonsillar crypts, and it loves the base of the tongue, and it's becoming an epidemic. About 68% of oropharyngeal cancers are caused by HPV, and they're sexually transmitted. And I don't believe we'll ever change sexual practices, but we can catch it early by raising awareness. So it's all about education. Educate yourself. Make sure the people you love in your life are getting an oral cancer screening. It's all about education and raising awareness, because if it's caught early, it's a very survivable disease.
Well, Eva, your story is really one that should be heard. And I've often heard you speak. I've seen so many videos. And one thing that I've taken away from you was your strength, and also how you indicated about turning adversity into opportunity. And I think just what you said was great, because there were so many things that I didn't know. And your adversity has now been a light to a lot of people. What does this mean to you, turning adversity into opportunity?
Well, it's a choice. You know, your attitude about whatever life hands you is a choice. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control what we do with it. And we can moan and complain and fetch, or we could continually look at the blessings we have in our life day to day. And I really believe it's human nature to complain. It's really easy to complain. And it's a real skill, and it's a lot more challenging to recognize your gifts and your blessings throughout your adversity. And when we find strength, we can actually turn our adversity into an opportunity, and this is what I believe. It's an opportunity to leave a legacy. You know, it's not about the length of our lives. It's really about the breadth of our lives. And we can make a difference and make a footprint. And that's what adversity does for us. It gives us this opportunity, just like you're doing, Chris, with your radio show and your own adversity. It's about taking it and making a legacy. And it's a legacy to choose courage to all who know us and love us. It's a legacy of choosing gratitude. It's leaving a legacy of cherishing moments that life provides. And when we choose to face whatever it is our life challenge is with strength and positive attitude, we will turn our adversity into an opportunity to inspire others, to make a difference. And really, that's what it's all about.
Wow. Well, thank you for your kind words. One thing I did take away from one of your videos with your children was that you created for them, I think it's called a donation jar or a charity jar, where I think every month or so they would put in $1. And they
Not every month, Chris.
Okay.
Every day when they came home from school, I would say to them, how did you bring light into someone's life today? And I would start by sharing with them what I did. You know, it's very easy to criticize people we love, and it's very difficult to praise. I'm not quite sure why that is, but I wanted to praise myself and to praise the others in my life through charity. So I'd say something to my children about what I did that day, whether it was calling a cancer survivor or doing a radio show like this, and I'd put $1 in my charity box, and then I'd say, how did you bring light into someone's life today? And my children, rather than asking them a boring question like, how was school today, when I asked a poignant question, I got a poignant answer. I remember one day Jeremy said to me, who was 7 years old, he said, Mom, I was the captain of the kickball team. And I knew who I wanted to choose first. But I chose the kid who's always chosen last. And I thought, wow. I emptied out my envelope of dollar bills and I put them all in the charity box because it was a lot more important to me to raise a child who was empathetic and conscientious of the people who surround him and to be a team player instead of the straight A's. I've actually written 2 children's books. When I reached my 10-year cancer-free anniversary, I wanted to mark the occasion, and I wrote 2 children's books. Mr. C Plays Hide and Seek and Mr. C the Globetrotter. And both of these books help make cancer less scary for children when someone in the family has been diagnosed. And it talks about coping skills, communication strategies. It answers the question, what cancer is. It's everything I wished my children had when I was going through it. And one of the books is now in the iTunes store, Mr. C Plays Hide and Seek. It has every bell and whistle. It is animated, interactive, music, voice. You can draw. You can answer, fill in questions with your fingernail. It is a hoot, and it's only $4.99 on the iTunes store. So if any of your listeners want to give a really great gift to a kid who has a parent, grandparent, sibling, friend, teacher who has cancer, this is a great way to help them make a difference.
Thank you, Eva, for your books. And we will definitely, at the end, also get your websites once again so our listeners can pick up a copy of your children's books. What you just mentioned about your children is just incredible, and I apologize I didn't know it was every day. That's how powerful you are. But definitely, that's just very inspirational because we always think about when we do something, what did I do, my day, and yes, that's true, but like you mentioned, how did you impact somebody else's life? How did you make them smile? How did you encourage them? How did you give them more of a boost for what they're going through? So this is just phenomenal information and very, very wise words that you're giving to us on the Overcoming Limits radio show. But Eva, I wanted to ask you, because your strength is just incredible, what advice would you give to those individuals and families who have recently received news that they or a loved one may have cancer?
Well, my feeling is that you do not hide a life-threatening illness from children. They are very smart. They're smarter than we give them credit for. They hear the whispering. They see the tears. They see and feel the sadness. So rather than hide it from them, because when you do that, you promote secrecy in the family, and I don't think that's a value that's good to promote. Number one. Number two, if anything should happen to you, like you die, your children could be forever angry at you for not letting them enjoy the last bit of time together with you. And lastly, illness is an opportunity to teach children how to be empathetic and what the word family means. You can't replace your family. I mean, in the end, it's your family who you've got. And it's really important to support each other and to know what that means. And when illness strikes a family, it's an opportunity to teach them.
Wow. Yeah, I think what you just said about strength and also not hiding the reality from your children, because children are very wise and they know any kind of inconsistency in your behavior or whether you're trying to hide something, they most likely know it just as soon as we do. So it's best to just indicate this is the situation. This is how we're going to have to deal with this. So once again, really, really great advice for children and for adults, because I think adults also can have such a need. A lot of times might put on an idea that we're strong on the outside, but on the inside we have pain and that we need comfort. The books that you mentioned are for children, but overall, just the advice that you're giving it can help the whole family.
Thank you, Chris. I'm a motivational speaker. I speak all over the world. And if any of your listeners belong to a faith-based organization, a healthcare organization, a survivorship event, educational events, I am available to speak, and you can reach me on my website, EvaGrayzel.com. That's GRAYZEL. And I hope that I can inspire many more people.
Well, I know you've inspired me, definitely. And I know that you've definitely inspired our listeners. I have been to your website, and I have seen your video. Well, first of all, the video is awesome.
Thank you.
You've given a lot of competition to our rappers today. So they better watch out. Eva's on the way. But
you got it.
Where did you get this idea for, I think it's called the Oral Cancer Save a Life rap video? Please explain this.
Well, when I learned about HPV and the human papillomavirus, and that younger and younger people are being diagnosed with this disease, I thought, what can I do to raise awareness? You know, you got to use all your skills. And when I was a college student in Manhattan, I went to Columbia University, and I lived in Harlem, New York. And my superintendent's son used to break dance with his little friends. They were in third grade. Every Tuesday and Thursday in the lounge area, and I used to watch them. And one day, I asked if they would teach me. And they looked at me like, oh, my God, this white girl wants to learn this? No way. But actually, they put me up against a wall, and they showed me how to do an arm wave. I actually teach all my audiences Breakdancing 101 at my lectures. It's really fun before I go into my rap. And I was actually breakdancing quite a lot in my college days, and I joined a crew. They called me EVE of the Special Effects Crew, and I used those skills to raise awareness. One day I was driving to give a lecture in Boston up Route 95, which has a lot of traffic, and it's always slow. And I was listening to LL Cool J on the radio, and I got this line in my head. My name is Eva Grayzel. I got a story to tell. I thought, well, now that is good. I turned off the radio, and I started to write my entire survival story in rhyme. And I hired a rap artist to put it to music and to coach me on how to rap, so I did it well, so I didn't embarrass my children, which I did for quite some time. And now you can actually see the rap live, produced professionally, with New York City break dancers and studio-trained ballet dancers working together to raise awareness and save lives about oral cancer. So check out the rap. The chorus goes, if canker sore doesn't go away, it could be oral cancer. Catch it early, don't delay. Hoarse voice, lump in neck, persistent cough. It could be oral cancer. Don't shrug it off. That's the chorus. So check it out online, pass it on, and do your part in raising awareness and saving lives.
Well, Eva Grayzel, I'm really at a loss for words. It's been such a great interview. We have to have you back because you have such an enormous amount of information and wisdom. We have to have you back again. But definitely, if you could just give our audience information one last time, because you have such a wide breadth of information, your websites and your books, please.
Absolutely. Everything is on sixstepscreening.org in the store. In fact, your listeners can download a mobile version of my presentation, which is 1 hour long, for free, right on the web store. And then the books, you can find them on the web store or directly through talkforhope.com. And that's talk, T-A-L-K, the number 4 or F-O-R, hope, H-O-P-E.com.
Well, Eva Grayzel, we thank you so much for joining us on the Overcome Your Limits radio show. And once again, we must have you back again for this incredible amount of wisdom, courage, inspiration. I'm running out of words to say, but...
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
So much.
And keep up your great work doing what you're doing to help other people get through adversity as best they can so that they can become a light and an inspiration to others, because we are all going to experience it at some point in our life.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you for listening to the Overcome Your Limits radio show with motivational speaker Christopher E. Powell. Tune in regularly to get the insight, inspiration, and motivation you need to dramatically improve your life and make a difference in the lives of others. We encourage you to continue the conversation online and let us know your thoughts at overcomeyourlimits.com, as well as to sign up for our newsletter. Until next time, in the words of Chris Powell, when you possess the will to win, there are no limits that you can't overcome.